Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. We're going to be taking a look at I believe it's the subgroups concept video around the world. I believe Want was the one who took this one. And I did react to the rank mission, but unfortunately the only one at the time that I could find was between YGX and Want, for just up for the dancer spot. And I know there was a little bit of tension or some drama affiliated with those two groups with the dance rank mission, so it makes sense why that video was made. So that's the one that I took a look at, so I apologize if some of you wanted me to react to all 8 of the groups for that particular rank. I wasn't able to find it, but if y'all are really wanting me to do it, I can see what I can do about digging it up, you know, pirate website or whatever. So, but we're gonna be looking at the concept, pretty pumped about it, and I am excited to see how everybody takes it on, what ends up happening, because you have 16 dancers with this one versus just 8, like a typical concept for these missions. So I'm looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and watch.
Are you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready for this. Okay, very similar setup that, who is it, the Pretty Savage had, but they didn't use these, they just were in front of this. Okay.
I'm a boss. I'm a boss. I'm a shine like girls. I'm a boss. I'm a shine like
interesting.
I'm a boss. I'm a shine like girls. I'm a boss. I'm a shine like girls.
Oh, okay. I do have some thoughts that I will share when we go through it slowly. If we're gonna be 100% real, which is what I try to be as objective as possible and as realistic as possible when I react to these. I will say, out of all the concept videos, now remember, I've only seen one at this point, one from season 1, which was the Pretty Savage assistant group, and then here, and then I've seen all of the concepts of the dance rank mission from season 2 at this point. So out of all the ones that I've seen, this one felt the most disconnected in the main dancer. Like it's, you know, the only reason why I would be able to tell is because they were the only ones moving, right? And not only that, I really feel like the camera choices, now, I don't know if it is because of this particular cut. I don't know if this was the Mnet version of what the concept video is, or if this was like a full cam and then they did zoom in stuff. I don't know, but I don't think I was truly a big fan of some of the camera choices. It felt rushed. It felt in a lot of cases, like, I really feel like it just looked like choreo that they were doing. It didn't feel as cohesive, right, in concept as the other ones that I've seen at this point, you know. Now, I don't know if it was just because of the season or what, but I don't know. I'm not just seeing, you know, I really like this formation setup. Let's just start there and we'll get into it as we go. So the first thing is that I noticed is that this is a very similar background. Like, I believe this was in the Pretty Savage, but they had the red, the silhouette, the flame, so they didn't use this. This was more like a backing, is what it looks like. So that's what I'm gonna cash in, is what it is. They're actually dancing on them. That's really cool. You naturally have this kind of this pyramid aesthetic, which is nice, and I like, and I know that our features are right here, which is interesting because normally you would have them in this position, So I think I get why they made the choice to be in the center, because they are technically in the center, but this would have been a really great choice too if this was the true angle that we had as their concept, because they are very far away if this is the official Mnet version. I do not have access to the Mnet version of this. I don't know why, but I don't. So this is from somebody else who reposted it. So just keep that in mind as well. But they're still moving too. Like, notice that they're moving in a sense of like getting ready to perform, not like we're performing. I'm going to assume, because I'm going to assume that this is like a full cam version. I'm going to assume that because we see this camera, okay, I feel like I'm just jumbling words. Let's just take it, Jessica, take a sentence at a time. I really like that my outside dancers, they were a lot slower. I really like that choice. That was really cool. And then they're doing the official choreo. That I'm assuming YGX did. Yeah. So they were the only ones that came up and they used their arms. That was really nice. Yeah, so everybody's doing kind of mirrored. They're mirroring. My center people are mirroring, which was smart, and they're going opposite ways, which is really cool. I do like that. And they're doing the choreo. Yeah, so this is, I mean, overall, okay, let me see that. So I see that here's what needed to happen here. So notice that my bottom, they mirrored that. They all went one way, they all went the other way. These two should have mirrored it too, because they're in the center, right? So that would be the natural choice to make. She should have gone that way. She should have gone that way. And the only reason why I say that is because she actually went that way and she actually went that way. So if they both chose to go one direction, then these two needed to have gone the other direction. So that's just a director's note. I would have totally made that call. So that's why it felt just a little bit, they feel, because it just looks like they're off, right? Like they're splitting, like they should have gone the same way or whatever. And the mirroring it doesn't make as much sense because of that. Like that was nice. Like I love that. Okay, this is why I say look at this. There's this camera. This right here. Boom, 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 boom. Start. I'm gonna. That is why I know that this is not the Mnet cut, right? Because Mnet shouldn't. Like this would be the camera that they're using for that, right? I'm just gonna assume it's that. This is like a full cam, and then the full cam breaks it into these other parts that, you know, I feel, that's probably why I felt disconnected. So I'm going to retract what I said, is that it felt disconnected or it didn't feel cohesive because of all the camera cuts. I'm going to assume it's because of this particular video and it's not the official video that was released. That's what I'm going to go off of. That's what I'm going to lock in, and I'm just going to focus on the formations and those choices. That's what I'm going to do. So I apologize if I confuse some people. I don't have access to the other one. You know, that's the life that I have to lead living here. So, and I like, you know, and I like that little moment where they had their moment right here where they went, girls, you know, and they shot their hands up, which is cool. Very powerful when you have so many people do a jump like that. I really love that choice of having everybody do it. And they all come up, fun. Yeah. I like that everybody's facing each other here, which is good. Yeah, so this is at this point, I'm just gonna treat it as this. Yeah, so that right there, that was like their little feature moment, right? It did feel, I don't know, maybe y'all can give me insight on this. It really felt like I'm a boss, you know. It's like a little moment. And I just feels that kind of choreo, that choreo felt pretty, you know, it felt very simplistic in comparison to what they just popped out with, right? Da-da-da, I'm a boss, da-da-da, that's like a pop-off, like normally you would make like a pop-off movement versus keeping it very even, you know what I mean? Especially with choreography, and if you're a main dancer, you want to show main dancer complexity, is really kind of where I'm coming from on this, and this is just educated guessing. I don't know if they choreographed this part or what. I'm assuming yes, because of the main dancers, and they have the liberty to make changes. I know that enough from the show. So I'm curious if this is their choreo. It just feels simple in comparison to the choices they could have made for that one moment there. Just my opinion. I like that da-da-da, da-da-da, like that. I would say if I were to provide, because here's the thing, it's just all for fun. I'm just providing my feedback, what I would do personally if I was in their shoes. But we all know my opinion doesn't really matter. So it's just all for fun. What I would have done there is that da-da-da, because you end up doing it twice. Whenever you do something twice, it gives you opportunity to create more dynamics or more dynamic choice. It's naturally built in. So what they did is everybody did it twice. What I feel like they should have done, or they could have done, is they go on the first one, and then everybody else, including them, go on the second one, right? Da-da-da, da-da-da. Like, that would have been a really nice peel out, a really great moment. But because they all did it at the same time, I think it's kind of really factoring into the simplicity for me. Like, it's unison, and there's a place for unison. Trust me. But it's not a K-pop challenge. It's a dancer challenge, right? So it's casing to them as dancers and choreographers. So that right there, I really feel like it really could have pulled it up better. And that right there, dun da 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 da, like that. I really like that moment, but because it's all unison, I wasn't able to. I really feel like I would have appreciated that moment a little bit more if we had a peel out to get to there. Now I do like this, wherever they have their outside people, you know, tearing, which is fun. But they were kind of separated, so that's nice that we have that moment there, which is cool. Yeah, so I know, like, for these, it feels, let's just talk through it. So this little section right here, I do know, you just see they don't have a lot of space. So if you're going to create an angle like that, it is impressive that you're making that kind of space and trying to go really full. And da-da-da-da-da, right? And right there, I know whenever, for her doing a 3-step turn, I think she ended up turning in a little bit, like she ended up going where she was a little bit sooner than you normally would whenever you're there, because she was probably on the edge. So I'm gonna hawk it up to that. This is like their nice little dancer where they're them as individuals, so I do think this is a really cool choice. And that was cut off, so I don't know if that was an MNAT thing or what, but that little bit was cut off. Da, 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 da. And then, but I see why they cut it off. I just feel like, you know, and sometimes you don't realize these things happen until it's cut, you know? I wonder if that was a conversation that whoever cut this had with whoever was like, okay, here's what we're looking at. It's either cutting off this phrase and starting this girl's phrase because she's starting when, by me cutting it after where they ended up cutting it, it cuts her off right here. It would have cut off what she's doing. Or you keep what she's doing and you cut off the previous phrase. So I think that's like probably the biggest cut, or maybe like, I don't know, like 7, 8. So they started on the 8, and then she started on the and a 1. Now, if she started on the 1, you wouldn't have had this cut issue. I do feel like it does take away slightly from what we just saw from Emma, because it just felt like we didn't see it fully complete. They were still getting into it, and we didn't have that finish. That's at least how I feel. Y'all let me know your thoughts. But I really like this little moment here. But also we're gonna just take a little note here that you see these 3 are on the edge of their stair, and she's in the middle of her stair. So I'm wondering if, like, here's what this looks like to me. She's chilling at the top. She's chilling on the second stair. We skip 1, and now we go to 1. And then I wonder if they were going to skip this one to go down lower, but the camera guy doesn't have enough room to go back far enough to see them on all the stairs, or there maybe wasn't a stair there. So they made her go in the middle, but here's the issue with that is what they should have done, because it just doesn't look clean. You know what I'm saying? So where I'm coming from in this is all from cleanliness. You want to have cleanliness in your concepts and cleanliness in your video, because the videography, where your camera goes plays a huge part, as well as where you want your dancers to go. You want it to look high quality, and high quality things stem from symmetry, stems from and we're just very symmetrical people. Like, we really are. We like things to be in order. I mean, most people do like to be in order. We like control. So a lot of these factors, there's like natural psychological things that we factor into that. One of them being straight lines, you know, things that are clean and crisp and organized. So here, this doesn't look like an organized formation because of what I just mentioned. But also note here, if they were going to have to put her here, they should have moved her over and put her right here. That would have made it every other. and it would have been cohesive. But because they had 3 of them on the end and 1 of them in the middle, it looks unorganized. It really does. So they really should have either moved her over, or they should have moved her up to this seat right here and moved her over to this seat right here. But that means that they would need to, I mean, she's dangling her feet off, she's dangling her feet off, she's leaving them on, and she has it completely on the staircase. So I just feel like this was a neglected formation that really could have taken another detailed look at, just in my opinion. That may be an unpopular opinion, but that's the biggest thing that's bugged me about this little part right here. I don't know it doesn't matter whose fault it was, it's not really that. It's just, I just feel like that was a missed detail that really could have refined this moment here. And I like that da 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 da. Like, here's the thing, I love me a good whacking overhead, and that was a really nice sequence. Da 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 da, and they go back in. See, and this is what I'm talking about right here. So notice that my top 2, so my main dancers, right here and right here, I believe they both split center when everybody mirrored. And I think that was like what I was talking about, right? You know what I'm saying that I said earlier? Like, that's what makes the mirroring make sense. If every aspect is mirrored, not just 75 or 85% of it. Regardless if you're a featured dancer or not, you still got to be symmetrical in your feature. Unless you have it specifically choreographed to where it makes sense why you have it as an abstract position, you know? And this was the prime example of what they should have done earlier, is you have her there facing the inside, right? Because they're splitting center, and then you have all my dancers over here facing this way, face this way. That's why this looks great. I love this part, because all the formations make sense. Now that's interesting. I think they wanted to have a moment for our main dancers, and everybody joins in on the second, which I like. I think I mentioned that earlier. I just feel like there's a couple of dancers that are just slightly off, like right here. They're just slightly off, maybe on and counts or what have you. And up here I noticed it, and then right over here I noticed it. Just in different parts of the 8 count. It's not enough for me to like really go back and touch on, but it's just, I think that's another thing too, is with this angle that we're getting, regardless if this was the official cut or whatever, we're noticing that there's just subtle mistakes that we're seeing. It's not that crispness of like whenever you do weight shifts, and that kind of stuff does play a role in how nice it looks, you know. And how they finish, we have our 2 that finish here. I'm hopeful that there was a close-up camera where they're able to do that, you know, and having everybody turn around. I don't know though. So let's just humor me. If this is the official cut, which I doubt, because of that camera, I would be appalled if it was, because it would be shame on Mnet for not fixing that little camera issue. That's my big thing. But let's just say, hypothetically, if this was the cut, I would have made my center people, I would make my main dancers move down to the bottom, because they're closer naturally. So I'm naturally going to want to look at them, especially, and you could have done more framing. Like, that would have been freaking dope to have some framing towards the center. That would have been really cool. Now, if this was not cut and we are able to have more of a close-up of them, then I think that's totally fine. I didn't really see that as much, of course, and actually I like this cut, so I'm able to see these little things that I've already noticed, like some of our dancers not being on the same, like, look, she's completely shifting her weight over to this side whenever it's supposed to be center. You know, so that's just like little baby things. Whenever you work with people, you want to make sure you clean. Now, I know that the turnaround time for these is astronomical, right? It's astronomically fast. You really got to be on top of it. And also, this is a first street woman fighter. It really sets the stage for season 2, and it also sets the stage for street man fighter, right? So I really understand that there's a lot of experimentation that has happened with this show specifically. So I'm really going to hack it up to that too, where Mnet's really trying to figure it out. That's why some of the quality of what they have isn't the same, as well as the excerpt opportunities that they have are not the same. I'm really glad they got it right with the post-production with Studio 2. Those groups for the crew previews that I reacted to earlier, fire. Love those, you know. So I would say all in all though, this one is a little bit more underwhelming in comparison to the first one that I just watched, which was pretty savage, but that could have to do with the camera angle that I am reacting to, as well as some of the sporadicness of some of the cuts that I saw. So I'm going to just chalk it up to that, like I've already mentioned. But when it comes to content, I would say pretty savage, did really nice framing opportunities, did feature some people, and it felt like there weren't as many elemental concerns to work through, like what I noticed here with the platform size and things like that. So that's just my, you know, once again, it's my opinion. So that's just, but I mean, I love these, and I really enjoyed watching this. This is great. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in some way. If you're wanting to take a look at these videos a little bit earlier than the release date that I have them on YouTube, I do have a Patreon that any tier allows you full access to all the videos as I make them. So if you're somebody who's like, oh, I want to see that K-pop, the K-pop or the Mega Crew, or oh, I want to see this recommendation, or I want to, grow as a dancer. That's what Patreon's for. And I would love to see you on there, but also everything that I have on Patreon will eventually be available on YouTube unless it's blocked. But if you want to see all this stuff a lot earlier as I make it, Patreon's the way to go. We got a ton, probably a week, 2 weeks out worth of content on there that you're not going to see here for a hot minute. So that's just my advice. If you're definitely somebody who wants to get more of this a little bit faster, I say go for it. But thank you again for watching. I always appreciate the support and the encouragement, and I love the discussions that we have here and on Patreon, and I look forward to them none the same here. So I will catch you on the flip side.